There are places on this planet that don't feel real at first. Water so clear it looks like air. Islands that rise out of the sea like green sculpture. Beaches so white they almost glow at sunset. The kind of landscapes that make you pause, not because they're pretty, but because your brain is trying to understand how a place can look that perfect without filters. And for years, one place has dominated that picture of paradise: the Maldives. Overwater villas hovering above glowing lagoons, white sand so bright it looks lit from within, and water so clear you can read the seabed from a balcony. It is genuinely stunning. But as the Maldives has grown more famous, it has also become more predictable. Crowds are rising, prices keep climbing, and a lot of the experience now feels carefully curated, built to look perfect rather than feel untouched. So here's the question that changes everything. If what you actually want is that Maldives feeling, the turquoise lagoons, the soft sand, the calm, the sense of distance, why limit yourself to one map pin? That recipe exists elsewhere, sometimes with fewer people, more personality, and landscapes that feel less like a brochure and more like a discovery. And the best part is that many of these places still reward curiosity. You don't just arrive and consume a view, you explore it. In today's journey, we're exploring 5 tropical destinations that genuinely rival the Maldives. Some match the lagoon perfection almost shot for shot. Some trade resort polish for wild ecosystems and dramatic viewpoints. Some deliver the beauty with far better value without losing comfort. This is traveling heavens, and by the end of this video, you'll have 5 places that make the Maldives look less like the only option and more like just the most marketed one. Let's begin. Our first stop takes us deep into the South Pacific, to a lagoon that looks like it was designed for cinematic shots. Aitutaki in the Cook Islands is often described as one of the most beautiful lagoons on Earth, and it earns that reputation fast. The water doesn't simply look blue. It shifts through turquoise, mint, aquamarine, and deep sapphire depending on the light. Because the lagoon is shallow in many areas, the colors feel layered, like someone poured them in. When the wind drops, the surface turns glassy and reflective, and the island silhouettes look like they're floating. The signature experience here is a lagoon cruise that weaves between small modest, uninhabited islets with palms and empty beaches. One Foot Island is the Star, a tiny strip of sand surrounded by glowing shallows in every direction. At low tide, sandbars appear like pale ribbons stretching into the lagoon, and you can wade out so far that the island behind you feels like it belongs in a dream sequence. For a viewpoint, the short hike up Mangapu gives you a high-angle look over the lagoon, and it becomes one of those scenes where your brain just goes quiet. What makes Aitutaki special, though, is the atmosphere beyond the water. Life moves slowly and quietly. There is no high-rise skyline, no pressure to perform your vacation. You pass small villages, you hear roosters in the morning, and the pace feels genuinely island-like. It's the kind of place where luxury is not about excess. It's about space, silence, and watching the lagoon change color by the hour. For stays, Pacific Resort Aitutaki is the classic quiet luxury choice. Refined beachfront villas, lagoon access, and an intimate feel. Aitutaki Lagoon Private Island Resort is known for overwater bungalows, one of the rare places outside the Maldives where you can wake up over a lagoon and step straight into shallow turquoise. And if you want the beauty without the premium, locally run guest houses and beach lodges put you close to the water with a much lighter price tag, often with hosts who know exactly which part of the lagoon looks best at what time of day. To reach Aitutaki, you typically fly into Rarotonga first, then take a short domestic flight of around 50 minutes. When the plane begins to descend, the lagoon appears like a bright ring of color, and you immediately understand why people call it unreal. From calm lagoon perfection, we now shift to a place where paradise feels alive and untamed. Raja Ampat in Indonesia sits at the heart of the Coral Triangle, and the biodiversity here is almost difficult to describe without sounding dramatic. The archipelago is made up of countless islands and limestone formations, covered in dense jungle, rising straight out of luminous water. It looks like a world built before roads, and the moment you see it from above, you can tell this is not just a beach escape. This is an exploration. Wayag is the famous panorama, a scattering of jungle-covered islands across neon blue water that still looks untouched. Pianemo and the Fam Islands offer another breathtaking viewpoint, especially when the light is low and the sea turns into a gradient. Down at sea level, narrow channels and hidden coves cut through the casts, and the jungle leans right over the water, creating that lost world feeling you usually only get in documentaries. On some islands, early mornings can even be about birdwatching deep in the forest, because Raja Ampat is as much jungle as it is ocean. Underwater, Raja Ampat becomes a different kind of masterpiece. Coral gardens explode with colour and motion. Sea turtles drift through reefs like they're weightless. Manta rays glide through cleaning stations with a calm, effortless elegance. Divers talk about places like Cape Cray because the fish life can be so dense it feels like the ocean is moving as one. Even if you only snorkel, the reef here doesn't feel like a side activity. It feels like the main event. What sets Raja Ampat apart from the Maldives is range. The Maldives is defined by calm lagoons and resort comfort. Raja Ampat adds dramatic landscapes, hiking, wildlife, and the feeling that nature is still in charge. It is paradise, but with edge, and that is exactly why it stays in your memory. For stays, Misool Eco Resort is a top-tier choice, set inside a protected marine reserve with overwater villas and snorkeling straight off your deck. Papua Paradise Eco Resort is another strong option, comfortable and immersive, surrounded by clear water and reef life. If you want a simpler, more local base, homestays on islands like Cry or Arborek are modest but authentic, and you fall asleep to water sounds and wake up a few steps from world-class reefs. To reach Raja Ampat, most travellers fly to Sorong via Jakarta Wash or Bali, then continue by ferry to Waisai and boat to their final island. It takes effort, but that effort is part of why the region still feels rare. After a place this wild, it's satisfying to switch to a different kind of luxury. Openness, calm, and Caribbean colour. Cayo Guillermo in Cuba is defined by space. The beaches are long and wide, and often surprisingly quiet, with powdery white sand and shallow, warm water that stays calm and clear. The colour is that classic Caribbean turquoise, bright under the sun, gentle at the shoreline, and almost luminous in the shallows. It's the kind of coastline where the simplest plan, swim, walk, repeat, feels like the perfect plan. The standout is Playa Pilar, often ranked among the most beautiful beaches in Cuba. It's a near-perfect arc of sand backed by dunes, with water so shallow you can walk out far and still see every ripple on the seabed. In nearby lagoons, flamingos are sometimes visible, adding a soft, wild detail to an otherwise serene scene. There's a simplicity here that's easy to underestimate until you experience it. Fewer crowds, fewer distractions, more ocean, and that quiet, I can actually breathe feeling. Cayo Guillermo also offers a surprisingly accessible version of upscale comfort. Gran Muthu Cayo Guillermo is known for modern beachfront design and overwater-style bungalows, a rare feature in this part of the Caribbean. Iberostar Playa Pilar offers another refined option with direct beach access and a polished resort feel, and Melia Cayo Guillermo is another well-known stay in the area. If you want to stretch your budget further, staying in guest houses or casa particulares on the mainland and visiting the beaches on day trips can reduce costs dramatically while still giving you the same coastline. Cayo Guillermo is reached by flying into Jardines del Rey International Airport, then driving across a causeway where the sea stretches out on both sides and the island appears like a bright strip of sand and palms. From the Caribbean, we head to East Africa, to an island that combines tropical beauty with something the Maldives can't replicate in the same way. History you can walk through. Zanzibar is an island with layers. Along the coast, it delivers the visuals, powdery white sand, shallow turquoise water, and beaches that seem to glow, especially on the eastern shoreline. At low tide, the ocean retreats far, revealing wide sand flats where locals walk, fish, and harvest seaweed. The shoreline changes by the hour, and that constant shift gives the beaches a living quality. Add in the scent of spices in the air and the sound of markets nearby, and the island feels textured, not just pretty. But Zanzibar is also about place. Stone Town, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is a dense, atmospheric maze of narrow streets, carved wooden doors, old balconies and buildings shaped by centuries of African, Arab, Indian, and European influence. The Old Fort, the waterfront, the House of Wonders area, and the evening food stalls at Forodani Gardens add texture and life. Even if you came for the beach, this is where the trip becomes a story. The north, around Nongui and Kendwa, is known for swimmable beaches and sunsets, while the east, around Paje and Jambiani, gives you that iconic shallow water look and a quieter rhythm. For luxury, Zuri Zanzibar is one of the standout resorts. Private villas, refined design, and a beautiful stretch of sand. The Residence Zanzibar offers spacious villas with private pools in a tranquil setting. If you want a city luxury base with beach time built in, Park Hyatt Zanzibar sits right in Stone Town and makes it easy to blend history, food, and the coast in one itinerary. Zanzibar is accessible via Abeid Amani Karume International Airport, with connections through major African and Middle Eastern hubs, which makes it easier to reach than many people assume. And now, our final destination brings us back to Southeast Asia, to an island that quietly delivers clear water, bright sand, and reef life, without the sense that every moment is staged. Redang Island in Malaysia is surrounded by some of the clearest water in the region, with coral reefs beginning close to shore. That means snorkeling is not a special excursion. It's something you can do between breakfast and lunch. Sea turtles are commonly seen near the beaches, and the reefs are active with colourful fish, coral formations, and that gentle underwater calm that makes time disappear. Even the waterline can feel cinematic here because the sea stays so clear right at the edge. The main beach areas, like Pasir Panjang, are wide, bright, and relatively undeveloped compared to more commercial islands. Redang feels relaxed and refreshingly straightforward. It doesn't try to compete with the Maldives through over-the-top luxury. It competes through clarity, clean horizons, clear water, and nature doing most of the work. If you want the classic step off the sand into a reef experience, Redang delivers it without complicated planning. For stays, the Taras Beach and Spa Resort is the island's most luxurious option. Elegant beachfront villas and direct access to pristine snorkeling. Laguna Redang Island Resort is a well-known choice that balances comfort with value, and resorts like Sari Pacifica can be a great mid-range base. Smaller beachfront lodges also exist for travellers who want the sea first and everything else second. To reach Redang, travellers fly to Kuala Lumpur, then continue to Kuala Terengganu, followed by a speedboat transfer. And that last stretch, the water changing colour as you approach the island, is the kind of arrival that instantly raises the whole trip. So, are these places better than the Maldives? In many ways, they can be. They offer the same turquoise water and white sand, but with fewer crowds, wilder landscapes, deeper culture, or simply better value. And for many travellers, those ingredients create something the Maldives sometimes loses when it becomes too polished: the feeling of discovery. Paradise was never meant to exist in just one place. It's scattered across the planet, quietly waiting for the travellers willing to look beyond the obvious. If you enjoyed this journey, subscribe to Travelling Heavens for more hidden paradises, cinematic escapes, and destinations that still feel untouched. And tell me in the comments, which of these 5 would you choose over the Maldives, and what would you want to do first when you got there?